welcome to Not Just a Home Thing, a podcast by Two Pages. Today I'm joined by Grace Lee, a painter whose journey has been shaped by love, lose, strength, and healing. To start us off simply, where are you today?
I'm in Santa Rosa right now. It's a really beautiful wine country town, and a lot of artists live around here. The nearby area full of wineries and small galleries.
Oh, Santa Rosa sounds beautiful. I can already picture the galleries, the slower rhythm of life. It feels like such a fitting place to begin this conversation. If you had to describe yourself in 3 words, what would they be?
Probably quiet, confident, and a little anxious. I think I'm quiet because most of the time, my inner world is pretty calm. That's something that comes from everything I have been through. I feel confident because I know who I am now. I'm not really trying to prove anything anymore. And I guess I feel a little anxious sometimes because I'm in a more open phase right now. I'm not tied to a strict routine, so I become more aware of time passing.
That's so real. I always think no working sounds so chill, but it seems like it can come with its own kind of anxiety. So may I ask, what's a recent moment that made you feel like life is actually pretty good?
Honestly, I feel that a lot when I'm driving. Like when I'm on a long drive, going somewhere now, I'm turning the music up, usually country music, and just watch the scenery pass by. Farmers, forests, sometimes the ocean. It's like really peaceful. There's something about being natural like that. It's just kind of receive me. And sometimes when I think about a certain person or moments that means a lot to me, I'll get a little emotional, but in a good way. Yeah, I think I'm someone who feels things pretty deeply.
Oh, I love that feeling too. Being on the road, music off, surrounded by nature. It makes life feel more open, like you can finally breathe a little deeper. If you could describe your childhood home as an image, what would it look like?
I think I'm someone who really tried to hold on to the good parts of life, even if some memories aren't perfect. If I had to describe my childhood home, it felt a bit like a little fairy tale world. It was a place where I first learned how to love myself and other people, and how to notice the beauty in small things. There were a lot of toys, candle person's house, and everything just felt very light and full of joy. Looking back, that home gave me a sense of strength. And when things get difficult later in my teenage year, that feels stayed with me and helped me get through it.
Oh, that really does feel like something out of fairy tale. And what stands out to me is that wasn't just beautiful, it gave you kind of emotional foundation. May I ask, what was your mother like?
My relationship with my mom is pretty complicated. I didn't really grow up with her. I was raised by my grandparents, so emotionally we were never that close. But at the same time, she always supported me financially. She actually a very accomplished person. She studied abroad at a very young age, got her PhD from Harvard, and built a successful career on Wall Street. She is naturally very good at math and has done really well for herself. But personality-wise, she has a strong temper. When I was younger, the time we spent together often come with a lot of tension. There was angry, yelling, sometimes even things being thrown. So those memories made it hard for me to feel close to her. So emotionally, there's always been some distance between us, but at the same time, I have depended on her certain ways. I guess it's just one of those relationships where They're both a connection and distance at the same time. And that's what makes it complicated.
Thank you for being so honest about everything. It sounds like the relationship between you and your mom is a little bit complicated. Who both support and pain at the same time. I want to gentle move into a deeper part of your story. Of course, only if this feel okay to share. Like as a teenager, after losing your mother in the Wall Street shooting, and with so much of life suddenly falling apart around you, what feelings stay with you the longest?
The period my life is still really hard for me to talk about. For a long time, I even had nightmare because of it. My mom passed away very recently. No longer after that, my grandpa also died. And my grandma became very ill, so she couldn't take care of me anymore. After my mom passed, there were lots of conflicts in the family. No one really wanted to take responsibility for me. I ended up having to live in the home I was living in. At that point, I didn't really have a stable place to stay. For a few days, I slept in the public area of the bag. It was summer, so it was really hot. And there were lots of mosquitoes. Later, I did get help from government. They gave me a place to stay and helped me continue school. But this whole experience stayed with me. I developed a strong sense of insecurity, especially around basic things like food. I became more sensitive, cried easily, and found it's hard to communicate with people. I was only 13. I couldn't work yet, so I felt like the only thing I could do was focus on school. I want to get into college as early as possible so I could become independent. And eventually I did it. I get into college at 16, and at the same time I started building my own art school business while continue my studies in college.
First, I want to say thanks for trusting us with that. And what really struck me is not only the pain of the period, but the strength it took for you to keep it moving forward. You're so brave. I can feel like through all of that, you still find your way back to yourself, right? And I love to talk about what helped you do that. Like what role has art, especially painting, played in your life, and how has it accompanied you through different stages?
Painting has always been really important to me. It's different stage of my life. It means different thing. When I was a kid, it was just something I loved. Later, it's become a way for me to support myself. And now it's more like something that's keeping me grounded. I think my relationship with painting is actually pretty personal. In lots of ways, it's kind of reflected how I have grown up. I started drawing really young, most because of my grandma. When I was little, I had lots of freedom to painting, to create. My grandparents loved me a lot and they really supported me. I even had a small room at home just for painting. I love painting people, probably because I loved the people around me. And that's kind of how I ended up focusing on figurative working later on. Then I went to art school because of some changes in my family. I had to support myself pretty earlier. So I started my own art school business at that point. Painting wasn't just something I loved. It's become a way for me to survive. Later on, I went through a really difficult time and I decided to leave everything behind. I moved to another country. I was dealing with a lot of emotionally from teenager year. During that time, I started traveling and painting at the same time. I saw a lot of different places and people, and I just painted what I saw, like people faces, and everyday life, small moments. Somehow that process slowly helped me heal. Over time, since started to feel more stable again, I found my way back to more positive places. So yeah, painting has always been with me throughout everything, and in a way, I feel pretty lucky because of that.
Oh, that's so powerful. And beyond those inner way of processing, what role does traveling play in your life?
I think travel has been a pretty important part of how I have grown and healed. I spent almost 2 years travel around the world. At the beginning, I spent some time in Asia. I stayed in the Philippines for a few months, and the life there was really simple. I was traveling a lot, visit different islands. It's helped me slow down and just have some space to think about the process everything I have been through. Later on, I traveled in Africa for a while, and that's probably had the biggest impact on me. In some places, things were not very convenient, so I had to talk to people more directly. It pushed me out of my comfort zone, and I think that's changed me in a quiet way. I saw lots of different landscapes like Victoria Falls, and I even traveled around on my own for a bit. I also did some painting along the way, mostly just to try to capture what I was seeing and feeling. What stayed with me more though was seeing how different people live. Some places were really hard, like seeing kids who didn't have enough to eat, and other feels much more stable. That contrast made me a lot more open, and I think it helped me let go of some of the resentments I was holding on to before. And of course, not everything was easy. I had a small robbery once in Madagascar. Someone took my earrings. That was a bit scary, but it also made me realize that not everything can go the way you expected. I guess travel taught me that life is kind of the same. Things don't always go according to plan, and I have learned to be more okay with that.
Yeah, I can feel what travel seemed to have taught you, not just freedom but acceptance. We have to admit that life is unpredictable. And honest, just hearing you talk about that bring me a deep kind of peace too. Thank you. I'm curious, when you're looking back, this moment that once feels so hard, how do they feel now?
Yeah, like I mentioned before, the past doesn't really have that emotionally hold on me anymore. It's kind of close to zero now. I went through a lot back then, between emotionally and financially, and I just had to push through it. I think a big part of my healing comes from building my own business. It's taught me how to deal with different kind of people, and more importantly, it helped me let go of a lot of resentment. And that need to be liked or loved by everyone. At the same point, I realized you don't actually need everyone to love you, and once you let it go, you start to appreciate the good things in your life a lot more. The hard moments doesn't disappear, but over time, that's just softening. And in a way, all of that shaped who I am today. Of course, there are still little traces of the past, like I'm still pretty careful with money, even though when I spend, there are parts of me that remembers being certain and not having enough to eat. I also tend to hold on to things. It's kind of my way of feel safe, even if I didn't always realize it. But I have learned to live with those parts of me, not as something that weighs me down, but more like reminders of how far I have come.
Yeah, we have to admit, like, those bad things can now just be 100% disappear. It sounds like you made peace with it. And even the part that still show up, like being care too much about money or holding things, I feel it's just now the same heavy way. For me, I feel it's more like reminders of how far you've come. And after everything you've been through, I'm curious how it has shaped the way you connect with people on a deeper level. And how do you understand love at this stage of you?
I think my understanding of love is actually pretty simple now. It's really just about being real with someone and truly caring about them. Even though I went through some abandonment in my family, I still found love in other ways. When I started my business, some of my friends were just there for me no matter what. They helped me financially, kept encouraging me, and they even took care of for me in real small ways, like cooking for me or checking if I was okay. Those moments really meant a lot to me, and they made me feel warm again. I'm honestly real grateful for them. When I first wanted to start my art studio, one of my friends lent me $5,000 so I could get started. Later, when my business failed, another friend gave me $400,000 to help me restart it. That kind of support really changed everything for me. It's made me realize that life isn't just something you say, it's something you actually do, and that's the kind of love I think is worth holding onto my life. Running my business also changed how I connected with people. Yeah, I had to talk to students, parents, and partner all the time, and I grew a lot from that. I learned how to set boundaries and how to keep relationship healthy. Yeah, so in a way, doing a business kind of pushed me to connect more with people, and it helped me understand a relationship on a much deeper level.
Oh, I really love how grounded your understanding of love. It's not about big words. It's not about drama. It's not about crazy love, crazy people. It's just about daily life. It's about care and people truly showing up. And you mentioned that you don't feel grateful for pain. Why?
I don't feel grateful for the pain. It's really broken my heart, and it's made me question what family truly means. It took me a long time to heal, and think in that process, I lost a part of my innocence. When you ask me this, I couldn't help think about my younger self, and sometimes honestly, I wish I could go back and hold into that version of me a little longer.
Yes, I really feel that. Sometimes pain doesn't give us wisdom first. It take away softness, safety, innocence. Yeah, I agree with you. We shouldn't be grateful for painful, but sometimes we have to grow up. We have to face it. We're gonna be peace and love for every time. That's a lifestyle in my mind. Yeah. And may I ask, what do you miss the most about that version of you?
I think I miss how simple and light I used to feel. Yeah, back then I was innocent and carefree. I didn't even know what the real pain was. I was just happy in a very pure way. My grandparents loved me deeply. I used to look forward to go home after school every day. It felt warm, safe, like everything was okay. But now, that feeling of home is gone. I have been through a lot, and it's changed me. I have become more careful, a little more guarded, and I don't smell as easy as I used to.
Yeah, it sounds like what you miss most is not just the girl you were, but the home, like where love feels steady, like feel real, and joy, the love came easily. Hearing you describe her that way, I'm curious if you could meet her again, what do you think she would need from you?
If I ever meet my younger self, I think I would just say much. I just look at her and see how innocent and full of love she was, and maybe quietly and feel proud of who I have become, how strong I have had to be, and how much I have learned to carry on my own. I think I did just hug her and told her not to forget that she was deeply loved, because in the end, that's what still kept me going.
That's so moving. So much love in that answer for who you were and for everything you survived things. And if you could say one thing to your younger self, what would it be?
I'd probably just tell her, you're amazing, you're beautiful, and you're stronger than you think. Go out, live your life, and don't be so afraid.
And after everything you've been through, what does home mean to you now?
To me, home is just a place where I can really be myself. Somewhere I feel safe and I don't have to pretend.
Yeah, that's such a clear and honest answer. Do you feel like you already find that, or are you still building it?
No, yeah, I don't think I have really found a place that truly feel like home. I think part of it is it. Over the past few years, I have been moving around a lot, traveling, exploring, never really stay all in one place for a long time. And also, I haven't met that one person who makes me feel like I want to stay. But I do believe that one day, when things feel right and more certain, I'll find my home. I'm pretty sure of that.
That's such a beautiful place to end on, like having fully found home yet, but still believing that one day you will. Great, thank you so much for sharing your story with so much honesty and openness. And what I will carry with me from this conversation is your courage, the way you move through lose without losing your ability to feel deeply, to create, to love. Thank you for being here with us today. And thank you all so much for listening to Not Just a Home Thing by Two Pages. I'm Natalie and I will see you next time. Bye.